Imagine stepping into your bathroom or kitchen late at night, flipping on the light switch, and freezing dead in your tracks. Right there, in the center of the porcelain sink, or raw against the white paint of the wall, sits a dark, angular, long-legged shadow. Your skin instantly crawls. A cold spike of ancient, visceral fear hits your chest, and you take an involuntary jump backward. Your immediate evolutionary reaction is to grab a heavy shoe, a thick wad of paper towels, or turn on the faucet to blast it down the drain forever. This sudden panic is fueled by deep, culturally reinforced myths that we have repeated for generations, that these multi-legged intruders are dangerous, dirty, and venomous invaders waiting to crawl into your bed and bite you while you sleep. We treat their presence as an embarrassing sign of a neglected, filthy home, a domestic crisis that needs to be solved with immediate physical crushing or toxic chemical sprays. But that aggressive, emotionally driven assumption is a staggering, profoundly uneducated lie. Not even close. That dark weaver vibrating in the corner is completely terrified of your presence. To him, your sudden movement is an apocalyptic earthquake. More importantly, that creature is not a dirty interloper from the wild outdoors. While you are staring at it in pure horror, your home is relying on its precise chemical traps to maintain basic hygiene. This animal is a highly specialized domestic guardian executing an elite, round-the-clock sanitation contract completely free of charge. If you were to successfully fulfill the dream of total extermination and purge every single weaver from your property, you would not create a pristine sanctuary. Instead, you would instantly turn your living space into a wide-open, unchecked paradise for actual, biting disease vectors, destructive carpet beetles, and airborne pathogens that ruin your food and your clothes. Before you is one of the cleanest, most misunderstood cohabitants in human history. The exact creature you are preparing to crush with a rolled-up magazine is the only silent landlord keeping your bedroom safe from an invisible tide of genuine household pests. Think about that for a second. The animal you treat as a terrifying threat is actually the single most effective non-toxic biodefense barrier protecting your family's personal space every single night. To truly conquer this deeply hardwired household phobia, we have to strip away our irrational terror and confront a staggering biological reality. The common house spider is not a wild, invading monster from the outside world. It is a highly specialized, deeply domestic tenant that has spent thousands of years adapting to live exclusively inside human architecture. If you look closely at their evolutionary timeline, species like Tegenaria domestica have been our silent, constant companions since the dawn of Western civilization, quietly weaving their traps in the stone corners of ancient Roman villas, medieval fortresses, and modern high-rise apartments. They are the ultimate room-bound hitchhikers of human history. They are so thoroughly specialized for this unique lifestyle that they have effectively broken all ties with the natural wilderness outside your windows. This introduces a profound, highly emotional paradox for the well-meaning homeowner. Many empathetic people, wanting to avoid crushing the creature but still desperate to get it out of their sight, will gently trap the long-legged weaver under a glass cup and slide a piece of cardboard underneath to relocate it outside into the garden grass. They think they are performing a compassionate act of mercy, but they are wrong. In reality, you are executing a swift, unavoidable death sentence. Because these spiders have spent countless generations adapting to the warm, hyperstable, and exceptionally dry microclimate of insulated human rooms, they are anatomically completely unequipped to survive the fluctuating chaos of the open wilderness. The moment you cast this delicate tenant out onto the lawn, its sensory network is instantly overwhelmed. Lacking any evolutionary defense against the damp ground, sudden cold drafts, dropping night temperatures, or predatory outdoor insects, the displaced house spider will almost guaranteed freeze, dehydrate, or be torn apart within a matter of hours. It did not wander in through an open window last night. It was born right inside the dark micro-crevices of your drywall, and it views your bedroom as its entire universe. It knows no other home. It is a permanent native citizen of our indoor world, a quiet roommate that has completely abandoned its wild heritage just to share our shelter. However, establishing a permanent residency within our dry, static walls comes with a crushing evolutionary sacrifice. To survive in a world where prey is incredibly scarce and humans wield lethal brooms, this ancient weaver has been forced to adapt to a brutal, low-energy lifestyle of absolute stealth, turning its day-to-day existence into a masterclass in patient, motionless endurance behind our furniture. This permanent indoor lifestyle forces the house spider into an extraordinary, survival-driven existence of absolute stillness, turning its day-to-day routine into a masterclass in extreme metabolic energy conservation. Surviving within the static, dry walls of a modern apartment is an incredibly difficult task for an ambush predator. Unlike the open wilderness, where insects swarm continuously, a clean residential room is a biological desert where potential prey arrives at a painfully slow pace. To survive these massive stretches of scarcity, the house spider functions exactly like an autonomous, low-voltage motion sensor. It spends months sitting completely motionless in the shadows behind your heavy wardrobe, beneath the bed frame, or inside the dark gaps of your baseboards, dropping its metabolic rate to bare minimum levels to stretch out its limited physical resources. What makes this static vigil so deeply intense is how the spider perceives its surroundings. For this nocturnal hunter, the visual world is almost non-existent. Its multiple eyes are exceptionally weak, capable of registering little more than basic shifts between light and shadow. Instead, the spider reads its entire environment through a highly advanced mechanical web of tactile strings. Its silk web is not just an ordinary trap. It operates as a giant, hypersensitive acoustic guitar. Every single strand of that intricate silk pattern is tuned precisely to capture the subtle physics of your room. The spider sits at the epicenter of this grid, using the microscopic, specialized hairs on its legs to listen continuously to the world. It maps its entire universe strictly through micro-vibrations in the air, the floorboards, and the tension of its silk lines. Because constructing this structural array requires a staggering investment of precious protein resources and metabolic energy, the spider cannot afford to waste a single drop of its fluid material. This is where the silent, heartbreaking domestic tragedy peaks. When a homeowner spots an old web and aggressively tears it down with a rough broom or a dust rag, they are not just cleaning a corner, they are obliterating a high-precision, life-sustaining piece of sensory technology. For the starving spider trapped behind the baseboard, being forced to rebuild this massive polymer trap completely from scratch over and over again is a crushing physical disaster. If this exhausting cycle happens too many times, the creature will completely drain its internal protein reserves, systematically starving to death in a desperate, empty effort to construct its home anew. Yet it is precisely this high-stakes, hyper-tuned vibrational defense system that transforms this motionless resident into an elite tactical weapon the second a genuine threat breaches your home perimeter in the dead of night. When midnight falls and you drift into a deep, vulnerable sleep, this motionless tenant transitions into an elite nocturnal tactical weapon, executing a critical combat patrol across your living space. This is where the true, high-stakes defense campaign begins. While you are completely unconscious, the actual, highly destructive enemies of a human household breach your perimeter. Voracious clothes moths slip into your closets to ruin expensive fabrics. Invasive carpet beetles crawl out of the floorboards. Bacteria-laden filth flies land on your kitchen counters, and blood-sucking mosquitoes escape from the ventilation shafts to hunt for your exposed skin. This is not a peaceful ecosystem. It is an absolute theater of war, and the house spider is your primary defensive barrier. Its tactical deployment relies on supreme mechanical precision rather than active chasing. The spider positions its legs along the edge of its polymer grid, using its hyper-tuned sensory hairs as acoustic radar dishes to capture the exact physics of the room. The second a flying mosquito or a crawling beetle touches the absolute outer boundary of the silk trap, a lightning-fast kinetic strike is triggered. The house spider does not hesitate. Moving at an explosive, blurred velocity that easily ranks among the fastest predatory strikes in the animal kingdom, it launches from the shadows. Within a fraction of a single second, it wraps the struggling intruder in high-tensile, industrial-strength defensive silk, completely neutralizing its mobility. Before the pest can even register the ambush, the spider delivers a highly targeted microscopic bite, deploying a precise chemical compound that instantly paralyzes the insect. This relentless, invisible security service operates completely free of charge every single night of the year. A single house spider systematically hunts down and destroys thousands of destructive, disease-carrying insects annually, performing an aggressive, hyper-effective decontamination sweep that single-handedly preserves the structural hygiene and safety of your bedroom. When you look at your living space through this updated lens, the old narrative surrounding this eight-legged resident completely shatters into dust. A spider sitting quietly in the corner of your ceiling is not a sign of a neglected, dirty home or a structural biohazard. It is your ultimate, free, 24/7 biological air purification matrix. It is the cleanest, most exceptionally quiet roommate you will ever have. This creature has absolutely zero interest in your food pantry. It never ruins your furniture, and it actively, pathologically avoids any physical contact with your exposed skin. Where our uneducated ancient fears see an aggressive, venomous invader, evolution recognizes a highly specialized, flawless defensive checkpoint that cleans your air of thousands of actual airborne pests, completely free of charge. Your instinctive, gut-level panic when flipping on the kitchen light is a completely natural, deeply hardwired evolutionary relic. But before you launch into a defensive assault and reach for a heavy shoe or a toxic chemical spray to crush this tenant into the drywall, take a slow breath and look at the striking engineering before you. You are standing in front of a dedicated historical cohabitant that has traded the entire open wilderness just to maintain a quiet, protective perimeter around your family's sleeping space. It asks for absolutely no compensation, it breaks no domestic laws, and it spends its entire life cycle holding the line against the biting vectors that threaten your health. The next time you spot this master weaver resting behind the bathroom sink or tucked away in the corner of your living room, drop the slipper and leave the plastic broom in the closet. Suppress the primitive reflex to destroy your most effective sanitation ally, and simply let this unseen landlord quietly continue his crucial defensive mission in the shadows. If this intense, high-stakes deep dive completely flipped your script on the ancient guardians hiding in your room, hit that like button and subscribe. Nature never designs a persistent structural anchor without a brilliant mechanical purpose, and sometimes the silent roommate you are trying to evict from your home is the exact shield keeping your personal sanctuary safe.